Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and Omens of Destruction releases on December 12th. This is the brand new DLC for Total War Warhammer 3 which introduces new characters for Khorne, the Greenskins and for the Ogre Kingdoms. This DLC also gives you a bunch of new units to add to not only these new characters but a bunch of other characters that you've already been able to play. And in this video I'm going to tell you what is inside Omens of Destruction. A big thank you to Creative Assembly for reaching out and sponsoring this video. For Khorne we have Uzul the Skulltaker, a character who excels at killing other characters, claiming their skulls, and getting bonuses for it. He'll start in Lustria because Creative Assembly missed all the forum posts about the Lustria Ball. The Cloak of Skulls is your unique mechanic. As you kill more and more enemy characters, you'll be able to buff up Skulltaker even more throughout your campaign, leading him to become one of the strongest fighters in the game. He's also supported by a ton of Khornate units, the first one being a Blood Speaker. This is a generic support lord available to all Khorne factions and Valkyr the Bloody. Blood Speakers will buff up your Scaramore troops, making them even deadlier in battle, while also dealing some decent damage on the battlefield themselves. Khorne has no spellcasters, but he does have some shamans. Khorne Gores are a blast from the past. These are a halberd-wielding Gore variant, so if you needed some more anti-large with not only your Khornate faction, but Warriors of Chaos also under Valkyr and the Beastmen, you've got some lovely new troops. They're also stylized after very old models, which makes them quite nostalgic. Skull Reapers are the first of the brand new End Times units in Total War Warhammer. These are additional hand weapon berserker types, which are a little bit stronger than Chaos Warriors of Khorne, but a little bit weaker than the Chosen of Khorne. They provide an excellent shock value and also rip apart infantry units without too much of a problem. After the Skull Reapers comes the Wrathmongers, another End Times unit. These are heavily blessed warriors on the cusp of demonhood. Using their hammer flails, they are a unit that you want to have up close in combat as fast as possible, as they rip apart infantry in the name of the Blood God. Blood Beasts bring the Monkey into Khorne. These are a spawn type units which are quite quick to move around and deal heavy damage as a shock trooper. Have them attack the enemy flank or rear and they will do devastating damage. Can you see the theme of Khorne? The Slaughter Brute is your centerpiece monster, a monster killer in its own right. It's large, in charge, and also can remain unbreakable as long as your lord is up and standing. Use these against enemy Stegodons, maybe even the Mutalith Vortex Beast. It won't have a problem ripping it apart. Skullblood Wrath is the first of two legendary heroes in this DLC for Khorne, a melee fighter who excels once again at killing other characters. I've seen him kill Gorok in a 1v1 in literally 10 seconds. Pair him up with a Blood Speaker and all the new Scaramore troopers in campaign and yeah, you've got a very interesting doom stack. Sylar Anfingrim is the second legendary hero in this DLC, and this one's a special one because I mean, he's a classic. Everyone loves Sylar. He is the big Chaos Monkey, the original one, who is available to the Khorne factions, the Warriors of Chaos, and also Northscar. That's enough Northscar updates for the time being. All of these units can be led by the Skulltaker himself, or, you know, use them with the other Khorne factions. Maybe with Skarbrand, or maybe with Arbal the Undefeated, the FLC Legendary Lord, who will be released alongside Omens of Destruction. You can pick him up for free by signing up to Total War Access. Gorbad Ironclaw is the brand new legendary lord for the Greenskins. What sets him apart from other Orc and Goblin lords is he's incredibly smart, a master tactician which is incredibly rare within the ranks of the Greenskins. His campaign starts in Blackcrag, which means you get a lot of nostalgia from 2016, and his brand new mechanic is the Plan, a system of upgrades available to all your armies in Gorbad's faction. You're able to unlock various different plans as you progress through your campaign and boost up specific types of units throughout those armies. You can have 3 active plans, and different ones at that, with each of your different armies. This incentivizes you for mixed loadouts, rather than focusing very heavily on doom stacking. And since each of these tactics themselves have a duration, you can mix and match whenever you want and when they go on cooldown. Gorbad is joined by a host of brand new units, for example, the new generic lord, the Savage Orc Great Shaman, which can be mounted on a lot of mounts as you can see. It is a spellcaster, still able to do a decent amount of damage, and if you play Wurzag a lot like I do, you're really going to have that Savage Orc theme. Night Goblin Big Bosses are your new hero with a different design as to how they were on the tabletop, as these will focus more on being a support hero and buffing up various different types of squig units. The Goblin Bolt Thrower is an iconic unit which now finally makes it into the game. Some long-range fire, able to do a decent amount of armor piercing, and quite good at taking out some large monsters with focus fire. Black Orcs with Shield will act as both the unstoppable force and immovable object. You can have them straight up in the battle doing as much damage as possible, or you can decide to turn them into a very defensive unit to hold down a choke point for as long as they can. And believe me, they can hold for a long time. Mangler Squigs, these adorable bouncy boys, literally just bounce into battle. They are literally unit shredders. Throw them into hordes and just let them do their thing. And the enemy will have to be careful, not only because they're so good at melee combat, but if they do too much damage to them, they'll explode. The Colossal Squig is your centerpiece monster, a Forge World unit from long ago. A melee monster that rolls into battle, literally rolls into battle. And I mean, what's not to love? It's a squig, but absolutely massive. Or one would say, colossal. Hey! This DLC also includes another variant of the Arachnarok Spider, this time with a web flinger. So you've got an Arachnarok Spider that also has an attached rock lobber. It throws a giant ball of web, which slows down the enemies but also deals a pretty big punch of damage. Have them firing, and when the enemy gets too close, throw it into the melee. Snagler Grobspit is your legendary hero, proving that Creative Assembly still remember that forest goblins exist. He's a fast boy on a big spider, and in campaign he tremendously buffs all your spider units, making them extremely devastating in combat. All of these units can be led by Gorbad Ironclaw or any of the other Greenskin legendary lords, providing you with a bunch of variety for all your themed armies. Gorbad himself, a very powerful melee fighter who rides atop a giant pig just to add in that cavalry element. Gorg Maneater is the brand new legendary lord for the Ogre Kingdoms. We've all seen the mercenary mechanic before, but what if we played like a mercenary? A full campaign like that. He's one of the most famous characters in Warhammer Fantasy, as he is one of the original Dogs of War. His campaign starts in the Northern Empire, but that doesn't mean that you're going to stay there for long. You're a mercenary, you're going to take up contracts, you're going to be sent across different reaches of the Warhammer Fantasy world, because there's many factions at war, and many of them will need support, offering large amounts of treasury and also food, a very important resource for the ogres, in return for you supporting them in this war effort. These are limited time contracts, and maybe after you're done, the faction you were just fighting will offer a contract to seek retribution. You don't care about loyalty, you care about getting that paycheck. Gorg is supported by a host of new units, the first being the Ogre Paymaster, a brand new support lord option for the Ogre Kingdoms. This lad will focus on buffing up your troops and also reducing their upkeep so you can get them cheaper and have more 20 stacks running around the battlefield. The Bruiser comes in as your new generic hero option, finally giving your spellcasters some much needed melee protection. Use them as a bodyguard or send them straight into battle. They have an Iron Fist to protect themselves, but who will protect their enemies? Piggyback Riders are coming in as a new unit to provide you with some anti-large and in a very cost-effective way too. Despite the fact that they're Noblars, they seem to be able to hold the line quite well, and yeah, you're going to be fighting a lot of ogres. You're going to want to fight fire with fire, or better yet said, large with spear. Blood Vultures would provide you with some much needed air support. They excel at flying around and behind the enemy. Not only that, but they get much stronger as entities. Not just your enemies, but your own too start dying. Yetis are another shock trooper to complement your ogres, although a tad different to the Gorgers, so you have a different type of unit. The Yetis excel at charging into enemy lines either through the flank, the rear, and sometimes even through the front, and they slow down your enemies, meaning that escapes from these other monsters will be a bit harder for them. Gorg's Maneaters are a brand new Maneater type. These are much more heavily armored, a little bit more devastating in melee combat as they do run with additional hand weapons, and are the perfect theme to run alongside the original Dog of War. The Thunder Tusk is your brand new centerpiece, another large monster very similar to that of the Stonehorn, but this one focuses on slowing down your enemy, either by in melee combat with its breath attacks, or with its rather long-range artillery fire in the form of, well, kind of like a cute little Pokemon attack. Alongside that, you'll be supported by your brand new legendary hero, Brag the Gutsman, an executioner by every means of the word. He is very good at taking out characters, large monsters too. Well, I mean, look at him. He's good at killing. Gorg himself is nothing to sniff at, a brilliant military commander who is very good at getting the job done. Have him up front with a bunch of different monsters and just watch your enemies melt away. Alongside this, you've got patch 6.0, which features massive changes to the Ogre Kingdoms with a brand new rework, changing up a lot of core systems to make them a bit better, like for example, brand new uses for meat, much more generation for meat, giving the technology tree a proper overhaul, even a brand new system for camps. Camps can move now, they're actually viable to use in your campaign. A brand new campaign with Arbal the Undefeated, who you'll get for free just by signing up to Total War Access, and a Khorne rework which is a little smaller than the Ogre one, but fixes some core issues like for example the Skull Throne. All this and more can be playable as from the 12th of December when Omens of Destruction launches. Thank you again to Creative Assembly for sponsoring this video, and if you're interested seeing more about Omens of Destruction, I'll be live on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges streaming some of the DLC. Have a great day, everyone.